We just got a whole bunch of brand new cut content and behind the scenes look at Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. Along with that, we're also able to see CatNap's original name, one that was sadly cut, potentially to copyright reasons. So without further ado, let's go hop to the video and look at everything. Thanks to Just Nathan on Twitter for all the different behind the scenes or looking at the layout designs of Chapter 3. This is what the developers use to kind of map out before they start putting all the textures, before they start putting all the designs, just kind of as mapping out what they want the game to look like, and then they go to details. But of course, this reveals a lot of different things of what Chapter 3 could have been. As you guys can see, this is where we got dragged in from the beginning of course, Chapter 3. It looks like that was going to actually start a lot longer with us dragging with, of course, almost the blood around the floor before CatNap eventually just drops us in there. Also, it's interesting to see that a pool table was actually supposed to be here, but it ended up not even being there in the final game. Then after that, when you actually leave that room and you go to the tunnel, you guys can see the layout just says big train crashing. Also have some particle VFX, so it looks like the tunnel is at risk of collapsing. I don't think that's even in the final game unless it actually was, but it definitely did have the train crash. It was extremely good detail, and this is just kind of like the layout. It also had the play care sign there, which I have no idea if it actually was in the final game. I'll definitely put the footage on the screen if it is in the final game, but that's interesting to see. I think what's even more interesting is when you go to this empty room with some developer text, because if you do not know what those yellow texts were, those are actually developer text, letting the other people, because developers just type in like, okay, you guys could do this, or like kind of say a note, leaving a note behind technically. And one of those notes revealed CatNap's original name being Nappy Cat. Yeah, like Nappy Cat? It says here, first gruesome evidence of what Nappy Cat has done to the other toys in the collection. What's interesting is that they say the other toys in the collection instead of smiling critters. This was probably a little bit early in development, or really early in development, so they did not, of course, have the other toys in the collection's name or even the smiling critters name probably yet. They just had a name Nappy Cat. Now, why did this get removed? Like we of course said in the beginning of the video, it could be for copyright reasons, but it also could be more just they didn't like the way Nappy Cat flows. It definitely has, it kind of like flows with kind of like the mommy long legs, huggy wuggy, you know, Nappy Cat. I don't know, it doesn't really like flow off at all of them. CatNap doesn't really either, but you know, it's a different line. But it still had the same feel of CatNap being type of a sleepy moon type cat. As you guys can see, Nappy and CatNap, you know, it was pretty much almost the same. They switched it up. And why do I say this is because of copyright issues? Because literally almost an entire year ago, around 9 to around 8-ish months ago, Micah actually posted on the Discord chat saying that we have an emergency meeting the other day with the creative team because we had to actually change some of the Chapter 3 characters' name due to potential copyright infringement. We didn't actually get in trouble, we're just being safe. With this alone, we can actually see the S in characters, meaning that of course there is more than just one character that got replaced with the name. And since we know that CatNap was actually one of the characters in Chapter 3, one of the new ones, so of course this is probably the reason why Nappy Cat was probably already registered as a trademark, meaning that they cannot use it. So of course they switched it to CatNap unless they just didn't like it. But it's super interesting to see this, of course, cut name still in the dev and code files, and I haven't seen anyone really talking about it since this is really interesting to see CatNap's original name. Beside that, you can also see a lot more other like behind the scenes area or cut content. Like this whole entire room here is just entirely cut content. We haven't seen this at all. It shows a brand new looking like the batteries down here with of course something actually new up here. Don't know what that even is. It looks like we have the purple, it looks like a blue launch pad. Don't know if they haven't made it purple yet. It was just a blocky layer of some type of room. We sadly have no idea what this room is. This could be the room where actually we meet Ollie for the first time, because it looks like that could be like a phone maybe. It looks like this could be like where the whole drop off actually happens with the very first battery, but who knows, just a theory. There is an elevator here, looks like it's going up, but this is really confusing, and also you guys can see all the different texturing for things. And if you guys notice down here, you can see an ammunition box, because this was actually a cut content in Chapter 3 of the actual flare gun having ammunition. As you guys can see, this is the box. It was fully textured saying grab me, of course with like blood or rusted up iron, don't know what it is, it's probably blood. Of course saying ammunition on it. And as you guys can see, the ammunition was just like that, small ammo. So it looks like the flare gun was supposed to have ammo in the final game. And if you even look in the game's code, you guys can see the ammo is still there, small ammo. And of course boxes carrying of course different flares, confirming that it is of course a flare gun. This is of course really interesting because in the game the flare gun right now just has an infinite ammo, so it definitely makes sense that they made an infinite. Because you know how annoying it would have been if you just ran out and his little smiling critters just start running at you. But to still be fully honest, in the boss fight, you could beat the boss fight without even using ammo, and you could just maneuver around his little dudes as much as you could try to do. But don't know, ammo, you could try to play the game without any ammo or without the flare gun at all, but you know, it's still possibly possible. But it's really cool to see how they canceled this. Hey, guess what, this is the halfway mark of the video. If you made it to this part of the video, that means I'm technically legally required to ask you to subscribe, please. But if you do not want to subscribe, that is totally fine. Watching the video, just liking or commenting will actually do enough. Also, you see that amazing render on the thumbnail? That was thanks to Mercury. So please, go follow him on Twitter. He's an amazing dude with an amazing render. Anyway, so yeah, it's your choice to subscribe or not, but I was like legally required to ask you to now. So enjoy the rest of the video. Along with that, we can also see more layouts, like the whole labs layout at the end of the game. You can also see that the little cat walks out leading to a room was actually titled the labs, but of course we never actually ended up going there. So that's of course some really interesting information. We can also see a very first blocked layout of the dream sequence with of course Nightmare Huggy Wuggy, you know, in Home Sweet Home. This is actually supposed to be when you walk into the gas. You'll see this and a statue of Elliot Ludwig, and of course a statue of Stella Gray, and of course a Poppy statue in the beginning spewing water from her mouth, which is just pretty funny. But also, you guys can see this was supposed to be the block, the layout of when you start the whole dream sequence. Sadly, it did not look like this. I think it would have been cool if it looked like this, but I guess it would have remove the whole creepiness factor they're trying to go with, so I guess it's definitely understandable. And as you guys can see here, it also says here, watch your step. It's just another one of those blocked layout areas of the whole train. I'm pretty sure this is a train. This is of course when you guys can see, to see the world through the eyes of a children. This is like right before you go in the train. Of course, the one that we just saw, this was of course the trolley, where you flick the two different switches and you go of course to play care. As you guys can see, it definitely looks really different. And also you guys can see two different, like, I don't know, looks like cotton candy booths and different stands, kind of looking like an amusement park. Kind of funny, because we all already thinking like chapter 4 is going to be an amusement park. And just seeing this is like, you know, it's pretty funny. And it's still called the Elliot Express, so it's cool to see that they stuck with that. One more interesting thing is that we can saw these two pink looking blocks, one saying gas, one titled Ollie's room, which is pretty interesting to see that Ollie used to have a room, unless Ollie still does have a room, but we do not know which one's Ollie. So that is really interesting to of course see this in the game's files, like bruh. Also some more things in the games which many people already saw before is of course Miss Delight's fix up form, not the monster form. We do actually see this in the VHS tape for the Hour of Joy, but we actually never get to see it ever in the game. Why is it textured if the VHS tape is just black and white? Have no idea. Maybe this was supposed to be the original design before they made it all creepy and, you know, fleshy like, but who knows. This is of course the original design that's still actually in the game's files. Now for the last bit of news, we got ourselves a key for the toy store. So yes, this is supposed to show that this was an early cut version of the key, meaning that we were actually supposed to enter the toy store for some part of the game, until they realized that would probably be too repetitive just going back and forth, that they cut it out, being the only building in the entire playcat that we did not get to enter, which is pretty sad because I want to see what was in there. Now for some last behind the scenes look, thanks to this Twitter user here, we're able to see some of course different chapter 3 animation reels. This of course having spoilers, with also Kissy Missy supposedly waving at us, which I had no idea even happened, but yes, this is how it looks from behind the scenes. We can also see different behind the scene footage of Kissy Missy, also her sitting down just looking at her photo, pretty sad. We can also see behind the scenes from Miss Delight and how of course the walking animation which looks at the player, which is of course just really awesome. We can also see here some unused content of Miss Delight's walking style, which is not as creepy and scary as of course the one we see in the finale. I meant final, but also you guys can see this is some of the smiling critter unused, I guess, jump scare when they used to jump scare. Now they just kind of like eat you whole. We can also see the dog day without fur, which, you know, is pretty awesome to see the fur off and on. We can also see from the behind the scenes of how CatNap disappears so fast, and also that one scene in the office where Bunzo's just walking, kind of passes out, and CatNap's like, you know, yoink, let me get that. Also, we can see some more behind the scenes of the Nightmare CatNap. I'm calling it Nightmare CatNap. I don't know if it's actually called that, but as you guys can see, this is the animation, and it just looks amazing. As you guys can see, they use an IK solver, just kind of like they just move the hand and it just moves with it. This is also when you close the door, and also some more unused content or cut content of his hand trying to reach out. They also had an unused jump scare with, of course, showing Nightmare Catnap just jumping right at you, which is, of course, really interesting because we know the only time we actually get jump scared by Catnap is when monster Catnap actually just comes at us. So if we actually got jump scared for Nightmare Catnap, we'll never actually get jump scared from the regular Catnap. So of course they most likely unuse and remove this Nightmare Catnap jump scare because they wanted us to get jump scared by the real cat. Anyways, this is me for this video. Let me know in the comments below what do you guys think about all this new cut content behind the scenes and also CatNap's original name. It's definitely pretty shocker to see that, and of course credit to all these people for the behind the scenes footage, the CatNap render, and even the blocked out footage. It was pretty amazing. Sorry for my bird screaming now, she cannot help herself. And I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to watch this video, and goodbye.